Mike Barley was known around the nation for not allowing a single touchdown in his 4 years of high school football. After dominating every wide receiver he played against and gaining 5 stars, this would help him receive over 50 Division I scholarships. He would ultimately end up choosing Notre Dame, where he would earn the starting role fairly quickly in the offseason. Mike Barley came into college confident, but would find out early that this brand of football is on a whole nother level for him. Even in his junior season at Notre Dame, he would still try to prove to NFL scouts on why they should take him, but he would still continue to struggle against any type of Power 5 school. Despite a very shaky college career, Mike would declare for the NFL draft where no team would even take a chance on him and he would go undrafted. Only one NFL team would offer Mike a tryout, and that would be the New York Giants, where he impressed and was given a 1-year prove-it contract deal. But luckily, after playing amazing in the preseason games and in practice, Mike Barley would be given a chance to start in his first NFL game ever against the Tennessee Titans. On the first play of defense, the Tennessee Titans would hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, who would later take a hit stick and fumble the ball, and Mike Barley would scream for it and get his first turnover of his season. Playing against the Titans, we knew they were going to run the ball a lot, so we had to come in and crash against Derrick Henry every single time, and we were able to get multiple hits on him. The Titans would open up the pass game after multiple big runs from Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill would just throw the ball on up and throw his first interception of the game. Although it wasn't to us, it was still a big play for our defense. We almost didn't get targeted once in the entire first half, but Ryan Tannehill would hit the tight end, who would come down with a huge moss on us. Letting up that big catch would be the downfall for Mike Barley, as he would miss his hands on the wide receiver and he would get a free run to the end zone on a big catch. Looking to rebound in the second half, the Tennessee Titans would hand the ball off to Derrick Henry a lot, and we would whiff on multiple tackles trying to arm tackle the biggest running back in the league. This would be a huge wake-up call to Mike that he has to hit the weight room, as he would get ran over by Derrick Henry not once, not twice, but 3 times in this game, as he was meeting his demise in this one, as he was getting thrown all over the place. We would end up getting the Titans to a 3rd down and goal, but our coach would end up moving us out of the game, as we would have to watch them score and tie up the game. After our offense scored 3 points to take the lead in the 4th quarter, we had one more stop in us to win this game, and we were going to do so after Ryan Tannehill would check it underneath, and they would end up later punting this ball. Although we didn't have the best game individually as a corner, we would end up winning our first game ever in the NFL, 20-17. We couldn't get too cocky in game number 2, as we were playing Bryce Young, who just threw for 400 yards in his first ever NFL game, and we would be getting cooked on the first possession already. It would be an all-around slow first half offensively for both NFL teams, but we would make a huge hit stick on Miles Sanders after a running back screen, but that wouldn't matter, as Bryce Young would find Hayden Hurst and he would break multiple tackles to get past the 50-yard line. Mike Barley was trying to get his first interception ever in the NFL, and he was playing way too aggressive, cutting all the way underneath and allowing big plays, and even on the goal line, he was asked to do way too much, having to guard 2 wide receivers, and he would let up his first touchdown in the NFL. Now trailing by 10 points, we need to get a stop at least before half, but Bryce Young would chuck it up to Laviska Shenault, and we got disengaged, and we'd allow our second touchdown in the first half, and this game is not looking good for us. The second half wouldn't go our way either, as Miles Sanders would take a toss all the way to the outside and run for 50+ yards that would set up another touchdown in the second half, and we would get blown out in this game, receiving our first loss of the season. Our coach would notice that we played very aggressive all game long, so he wanted to implement us in a cover 2 and sit underneath and hopefully make some plays on the ball, and then we would get our first chance to do so in the Chicago Bears game in week number 3. Although we couldn't make much plays in the air yet, we were making a lot of plays in the ground game, doing everything we could to win football games, and we were landing big hit sticks even on the quarterback. On the second drive of the game, this is where we'd see our big first action, as we would get a dump down underneath and we would pry the ball loose and force our first turnover of the season as a rookie. In the second half of this game, we found ourselves trailing by 4 points, but we would be able to make some plays, even hitting Justin Fields once again. But later in this drive, he would make a boneheaded mistake and throw the ball right when we cut underneath, and Mike Barley would have his first interception of the season, and it would go all the way for 6, where we would regain the lead. The Bears offense would not back down after throwing a pick 6, as they would rebound with a couple big plays as Justin Fields was starting to heat up, and we knew we had to get a stop. Even after this 3rd and 5, they would convert on a running back screen. We needed to slow this offense down very badly, and we would do so undercutting a ball once again, and this new Tampa 2 style defense is helping us so much, making plays underneath, and we would have our second pick 6 of the game. We would be playing so well on defense this game, baiting Justin Fields into his 3rd interception when he threw our way, and we would have our 3rd pick 6 of the game. This would help us win our 2nd game of the year, and we were looking to take over as one of the best cornerbacks in the league, even winning the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. In the 4th game of the season, we would be taking on an NFC opponent in the Green Bay Packers, and Mike Barley wants to prove that last game was not a fluke and that he belongs as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Green Bay's starting quarterback Jordan Love was also out in this game, so we would be taking on Carson Wentz, and then on a 3rd and 8, he would just throw it up at us, and our defense is just absolutely on fire, getting off the field already. We would go on to dominate in this game, already sitting up 17 points. Carson Wentz would force a ball in the flat, and we would have our 4th interception of the season and our 4th pick 6 of the season. And Mike Barley's proving himself as a real ball hawk. With Coach Dabble putting us all the way in the flat, we were able to make so many plays this game as we would get our 2nd interception, and that would be our 5th one of the season, and we are on pace to break the NFL season record. Now, we weren't even done yet in this game as Carson Wentz would once again target us in the flat, not learning his lesson, throw his 3rd interception to us in the single game. And just like the last game, we would earn ourselves the NFC Defensive Player of the Week 2 weeks in a row. Fast forwarding to the end of the season, we would be taking on the Minnesota Vikings, and if we were to win this game, we would end up taking on the #1 seed and also getting a bye week, and we would have to do so against the #1 wide receiver in the league. Playing against one of the smartest coaches in the NFL, Kevin O'Connell knew that we played aggressive underneath, and they were throwing routes right behind us all game long, as they would do it on that play and also on this next play as we bite underneath once again. But later in the drive, Kirk Cousins would look to convert on a 3rd and 12, and he would just chuck the ball on up our way, and our safety would come down with an interception, and we're looking to make some key blocks, and we would do so against a couple offensive linemen, and our safety has a free run all the way to the end zone, and we took a 14-point lead early in this one. Knowing that a 1st-round bye is on the line if we win this game, we were destroying them on defense as Kayvon Thibodeau would get sacks, and the entire defensive line was eating all game long as they would force a fumble, and we would get ourselves another punt. Kirk Cousins would go on to check this ball down to Dalvin Cook, and we would have a one-on-one with one of the best running backs in the league, and we would prove our dominance in the tackling game as well, but we would get way too aggressive on this next play, leaving the best wide receiver in the league wide open and allowing him to heat up. In what feels like a must-win game, we would hit stick TJ Hawkinson in bounds and keep this clock on moving, and they would only settle with 3 points in the entire first half of this game. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings looked a little bit better at the end of the first half, so we're trying to slow them down in the 3rd, and he would dump it down once again, but the running back would fumble, and Mike Barley would pick it up and score all the way down the sideline for his 1st touchdown of the game. With a fat lead of 24-3 heading into the 4th quarter, the Vikings could do nothing to come back, and the New York Giants would secure the #1 seed heading into the playoffs. After going from undrafted to leading the league in interceptions, Mike Barley would get his 1st Pro Bowl nod in his 1st season in the NFL, and he would also win the Defensive Rookie of the Year as he heads into the playoffs. Our 1st ever playoff game, we would be taking on the Green Bay Packers, and if you remember, we had 3 interceptions against them, but this time their starting quarterback will return, and there will not be Carson Wentz behind the center. Our 1st playoff game would also come in high weather. This game would be super snowy and super stormy all game long, but we would look to start off hot as Jordan Love would drop back on the 1st play of the game and overthrow his running back, and we would start the game off with a turnover. It almost felt like every team would use Mike's aggressiveness against him as he would bite on short routes and the sideline would be wide open, and they would continue to do so all game long, testing him on the sideline. The Green Bay offense would run on us all game long, as well as Aaron Jones was having so much success in the snow as our defense could not get their feet right on the tackles, and he would do so again, getting the Green Bay offense in the red zone. Now with the 1st and goal on hand, Jordan Love would scramble out the pocket and look to make a play on our side of the field, but he would later get baited underneath, and Mike Barley would spin out Jordan Love and have a free run to the end zone, and this is now his 5th pick 6 of the season and his 1st one in the playoffs, and this is looking to be one of his biggest plays of his career so far. It seemed like the Packers offense was basically hand the ball off to Aaron Jones and just give him the rock whenever they could, and he would make just huge plays just like this one, and he would continue to do so in the passing game as well as they found themselves back in the red zone. We would end up holding them to only 3 points, but they would find themselves all the way back on our 25-yard line, and later in the drive, Kayvon Thibodeau would get his 1st sack of the game, and we would hold them to 3 points once again. Jordan Love would then again get the ball right here with only 2 minutes remaining. They need 8 points, and on a 3rd and 8, they would get a crucial 1st down pickup, and then we get him to a 4th and 8, and he would pick it up once again. We need to get a stop here badly. After playing zone all season long, our coach would end up starting to throw us in a little bit more man coverage, and that would end up costing us on this 2nd and 2 as we would allow a wide open touchdown to tie this game up, or at least allow the 2-point conversion. Now, this 2-point conversion was the biggest play of the game yet, and Jordan Love was scrambled to our side once again in this game, but this time he would take it himself and fumble on the 1-yard line, and we would secure the victory, and that would be our 1st playoff win ever in the NFL. Moving over to the conference championship, we would be taking on a division rival in the Dallas Cowboys, who we did end up sweeping in the regular season, but in heavy snow weather, this is going to be another one of those tough games in the playoffs. After having an amazing amazing first playoff game ever. He wanted to stay 10 toes down and stay locked in this game as Dak Prescott would target him on the first play of the game, and he would get another interception in this postseason. On the second drive of the game, they would be pinned back down on the 2-yard line, and Kayvon Thibodeau would get a sack, and we were becoming the best young duo in the NFL. Our offense would end up struggling in this game, but our defense was absolutely on fire as Mike Barley would lock down the entire side of the field, not allowing a single pass. Dak Prescott wanted to work to the right side and use our aggressiveness against us as we were biting underneath, and they were finding Tony Pollard wide open all the way back behind us. But later on this play, we would get juked out of our shoes, but Dak would miss a wide open touchdown throw. On a goal line try on a 1st and goal, Dak Prescott would target us once again, but we would miss the interception, and Coach Dabble would pull us off for goal line personnel, and they would later score. Even on the next drive, the Cowboys offense would run that exact same play where they found Tony Pollard wide open, and once again, they're on our side of the field. We were trying to make a lot of baits on this game as we were trying to get this tight end to get the ball thrown to him, and once he did, we were able to pry it out. And on a big play, 3rd and 7, Dak Prescott would find a tight end wide open, but once again, he would miss another throw, and they would have to settle for 3 points. Dak Prescott would throw the ball our way so many times this game as this time he would go deep, and we had safety help, and we were able to pry it loose, but they were able to move the ball a little bit, but with the clock moving, they were not able to get this field goal attempt off, and we had the lead heading into half. This was the first time an offense gave us a problem against our great cover 2 that helped us get the first seed in the NFC, but later in this drive, the Cowboys would hand it off to their fullback, who would later end up fumbling in the snow, and we got a lucky stop on defense. With our offense scoring and taking a 9-point lead, we were one stop away from making the Super Bowl, and all we had to do was keep this offense on the field and in bounds, and we were going to do so on this next play, and that clock is about to be under 1 minute. The Cowboys offense to the 3rd and 10, Dak Prescott would take a shot at the end zone in the back left corner, and we were able to break it on up, and they would end up missing the field goal, but getting the ball back with only 10 seconds remaining, all they could do is ask for a Hail Mary, and this would be the last play of the game as we were able to break it on up. After taking out the Cowboys in the conference championship, we would be taking on the Los Angeles Chargers in the Super Bowl, and this is Mike Barley's absolute dream in the NFL, going from undrafted all the way to a Super Bowl appearance. We would start with the offense of the Chargers all the way pinned back on their 4-yard line, but they would slowly move all game long, riding the back of Austin Ekeler as he would dominate early in this game. This was definitely the Austin Ekeler show as he was breaking tackles and also just moving the piles every single time he touched the rock, and they would continue to feed him and chew the clock out as we were already in the 2nd quarter. Now that we're in our end zone on a 3rd and 2, Justin Herbert would check it down to Austin Ekeler, but we would finally slow him down and force a field goal on 4th and 1 and finally get off the field. But instead, they would fake the field goal and go for it in the Super Bowl. You have to have a lot of nads to do that, and they would pick up a touchdown on the very next play. With us still trailing in the second half by 4 points, we need to have them not score a touchdown in this drive, and they are going to continue to have big plays all over the place, and we would be way too aggressive on this play, undercut it way too quickly, and they would pick up another big first down. With Austin Ekeler already being on fire, it was opening up the passing game for Justin Herbert as he continued to heat on up as he would make multiple big throws, but Austin Ekeler would take a handoff and get them once again inside the 10-yard line. Now on a 2nd and goal, Justin Herbert would find Donald Parham in the flat, and we have one tackle to make, but we would whiff, and we would allow our 2nd touchdown of the game. Now with nearly 2 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter, they would end up chewing the clock and then hit us over the top with Keenan Allen, and this felt like almost a dagger in the Super Bowl. Although on a 3rd and 4, we would end up getting a sack on Justin Herbert, and then they would kick a field goal, but go on to miss the field goal, and our offense would reiterate with the touchdown, and then with only 8 seconds remaining, they needed a miracle. They would find Keenan Allen across the middle, but he already stepped out of bounds, and that was a legal touching. Now all they have left is just one Hail Mary attempt, and Justin Herbert would just heave the ball on up, and the ball would end up hitting the ground, and we would end up winning a Super Bowl as a rookie. We went from undrafted to a Super Bowl victory all in 1 year. If you enjoyed Mike Harley's story and you want to see more RTGs, make sure you hit that like and hit that sub. We're going to be posting so many more videos as we approach the new NCAA game next summer.